the shit, and we felt like recording. Well, I felt like recording. I'm not even gonna lie. So I just watched your video. Well, I'm halfway through your video. I ended up talking to you in between watching the video, so I didn't finish it yet. But let's talk about this fucking DLC bullshit with Capcom and the way it should be done and the way it's not being done. You pointed out a whole bunch of like people that seem to be kind of wishy-washy about if they should or should not do what they're doing.
Well, I mean, there was that one guy who, he basically was, you know, he was like I mean, I wish I had mentioned it in the video. I don't know why it escaped my mind when I was recording. But there was, I can't remember his name offhand, but he was talking about how games should cost, they should cost more now, more even though he doesn't want them to.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
He basically was kind of like apologizing for the state of games now and the state of fighting games and the way they piecemeal all the content out to you and charge you for it. And it's that thing that you always hear in the collector community where people complain about the shit, but then they turn around and buy it anyway. Exactly. And it's like, if you don't like that they're doing it this way, then why pay for it at all?
Exactly.
You know, you're only making things worse. Yeah. So I just couldn't. I wish I had mentioned it, you know, in the video, but you know, I was pointing out some other things that he said that I didn't really agree with, or I felt were really off base. Like, you know, the way they charge for games now, I think is just, it's not
it doesn't make sense. It's not in proportion to what you get. Like, why should you pay full price for an unfinished game? And why is it that that's becoming more and more common, and yet all you guys out there, so many of you out there are saying, yeah, it's fine. Like, that doesn't make any sense. You should never, ever, ever, ever pay for unfinished anything. You're a consumer. The job of the company making the shit you like is to fucking, you know, give you a complete, you know, product. It's not for them to half-ass it, and then that becomes the fucking
norm.
Yeah, like that's just the way it's done in the developer. I guess you could call it the developer community, but it shouldn't be like that. It really shouldn't. And there's no excuse. And all you guys being apologists for it, you're the reason why we have this problem, and you need to own up to it and fix it. Instead of just pretending like it's okay because you've gotten used to that being the norm. I'm really sick of that shit. Like, this generation, there's nothing really worth your money like that. You know? There's so few games that are actually worth a damn because so many of them just don't really, like, they don't add up. I mean, think of all the weapons. Think of all the games that make you buy all this stuff. You got to buy your individual weapons. That's what I was thinking of, like upgraded weapons. You got to buy all these extra, you know, everything. You know, it's just like buy stages. Why should you ever buy a stage for any game? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Especially Street Fighter. Like, it's a rectangle essentially. You know, you're not gonna, like, other than the background and, you know, the different colors and the setting that they put each stage in, you're basically playing in a square, and there's only so much you can do with it. You know, you can pull, like, you know, you can do the old school trick people used to do back in the day where they would jump back and pull the screen towards the other opponent.
That only works so much. It doesn't really work that much these days.
Yeah, I mean, not anymore, but, like, you know, those were the things people were doing back in the day.
But still, like, a stage is a fundamental piece of the game. Yeah. You should not be paying for that shit. Just like you shouldn't be paying for extra characters in Marvel vs. Capcom. Marvel vs. Capcom has been dropping the roster amount since Marvel vs. Capcom 2. 2 had 56 fucking characters total. 3 had something like 30-something characters total. And then 4 had a little bit more than that. So for people to sit there and, like, act like it's okay for them to do what they're doing, that's a bunch of bullshit. Like,
yeah, I didn't know 3 only had that few characters in it.
Yep. It's been decreasingly, you know, less and less and less. And it's dumb because before, the characters were hand-drawn sprites. So in the new games, they're all models. You'd think they would easily be able to make, you know, easier. You have a starting point with CG models because you build a shape, or you build several shapes for their base model size and proportions, and then you build on it from there. Whereas when you start from scratch and you hand draw everything, you fucking start from scratch. To think we got more characters back when they were doing it like that and we're getting less now, it's a testament to how you guys have lowered the expectation. And because you lower the expectation, that's what we get, you know? And it's fucked up. It shouldn't be like that, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, I was surprised at how many people were against the original dude. I think his name was Blasted Land. How they were against his wait and see approach. It wasn't like he was saying that the game is going to suck, and it wasn't like he confirmed that they were going to lock anything behind a pay to play DLC fight money wall. It was just after what they did with Street Fighter 4 and what they did with Street Fighter 5. He was like, you know what? I don't want to pay for this kind of thing again. So I'm just going to wait and see. But here's hoping that everything turns out right. That was essentially his initial comment.
Exactly.
And so many people were like against it. There was, and I didn't even cover all the other people that were coming in and talking shit and just, basically calling him a hater because he didn't like what Capcom presented to them.
It's because people are too easily swayed.
Yeah.
These days, it's like it takes nothing to sway you. You have this weird,
it's a penis jockey mentality.
Yeah.
It is.
Yep. That's the way it is. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, 24 and 32 unlockable characters. That was Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Then 3, which was where is that at? Why did I move that instead? 3 had 15 and 15.
Ooh, shit.
Yeah, that was the first one. 36 characters total, because there were a couple that were 6 secret characters or unlockable characters. Then the newer one, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom.
Did they add to that?
They added a few characters because they added like Ghost Rider, they added Doctor Strange, they added I gotta find the roster so I can tell you. Playable characters. Yeah, 15 and 15 still. But there were the 6 characters. Who were the 6 characters? Fantastic Four characters, Ghost Rider, Daredevil, Mega Man, Walnut. Who the hell is that? Nemesis and Phoenix Wright. That's crazy. So where's Ghost Rider? Oh, so yeah, it was only 6 characters. So yeah, it was like 36 characters in total.
That is lame.
That's lame. And you guys were all cool with that. You were cool with it. You didn't complain. It's like you didn't even go back and see how much you got in the previous game. You guys were all cool with being completely bent over and given a dry-ass shaft. And I'm not cool with that. If I'm going to pay more now, because that was the game where we found out that they hid the characters on the disc.
Yeah.
And you had
4, yeah.
No. It was Marvel vs. Capcom, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, where people found the data, the voice data for those characters on the disc. And then you realize that this is how they've been doing stuff. Like, that makes no sense. It really doesn't make any sense. And so many people were so, like, awesome with it and cool with it and blah, blah, blah. And, like, it'd be cool if, like, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, if they had announced, like, 30 characters, but then said there's going to be 30 more and don't tell you who they are, I'd be like, hey, fine.
And that was dude's initial fear. You know, they've only announced a very small number of characters, and
I think it's like 9 characters, something like that.
Yeah, I think somebody else said I think it's like 16 so far or something like that. But there's all these like leaks and rumors of all these other characters that are going to show
15 characters, yeah.
So sorry, I'm looking at yeah, I mean those are that's all they've got so far.
And most of these characters have been in previous games.
Yeah, just about all of them except for Sigma and Ultron.
And if you're gonna Mega Man X.
Oh yeah, that's right, because they had regular Mega Man.
Like if you're gonna put those, like if you're gonna announce characters, don't tell me about the guys who we expect to be in the game. Like, oh, Ryu's in the game? Who knew? Chun-Li's in the game? Wow.
I think Ant-Man might be in the game. I saw some screenshots of him. I don't know if he's part of a super.
They're gonna put. Well, he's part of. Before this, he was part of Hawkeye Super.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure Disney owning Marvel and them agreeing to make another one of these games, the roster is going to mostly be MCU characters.
So I better fucking see a Black Panther character. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
I don't know. You know how Japan don't like black people.
I know. Yeah, that was gonna be my next thing. But yeah, it's like people need to ask for more. And then let's go into the whole Tekken part of the argument. Tekken has consistently upped the ante every game, with the exception of 4. 4 was the only misstep in my opinion. Even if you like it, even if you hate it, it was a misstep. I think there were 12 playable characters from the onset, and then there were like palette swaps and combat and someone else, you know, for more.
And there were some time release characters too.
Nah, not in 4. Well, combat was something like that, and then Violet was a palette swap.
I could have sworn Brian Ferry was time release. Somebody.
Oh yeah. Initially, you're right. Initially, there was only like 8 characters, and after you play for a certain amount of time, then the other characters popped up.
Yeah.
But the maximum were 12.
Oh.
And then it's 12 or 14, something like that. It wasn't a lot. But that was the only one that, in my opinion, dropped the ball, because it just didn't feel like
it was so drastically different from 3.
Yeah.
You know, with the way they set up the stages and having them having the stages go arc up at different angles, and the whole switching people around, like position switching and all that. Like I mean, that threw a lot of people off, and I mean, the whole community just really didn't like it, so they went right back to what they did before with 5.
Yeah. I hate the way this wiki is set up, because it just tells you who was, what characters were introduced.
Yeah.
But like, you know, there's all these other characters that were in there too. I want to know about them as well. But anyway, Tekken always improves on its roster. Like, you think about the first Tekken had a lot of characters in it. I think the first Tekken had what, like 20-something odd characters? Yeah. It had, let me see. I'm gonna go back and look for sure.
I mean, you had
King, every character Kazuya, had a boss.
Michelle, Bruce Irving, Law, fuck. I mean, Armor King was in there. Heihachi. I've only got 8 right now, but
yeah, but for each,
and Jack, and then P-Jack.
Yeah, for each of the characters, you got a
sub boss.
You got a boss for each one. So,
and then you had Angel.
Yeah, well, Angel and Devil were secret characters in the first one. I think Angel was like who you get once you unlock Devil Kazuya, and then you fought him, it was weird. Let me see if I can find this. So Tekken 1, we're going to talk about the amount of characters that were in this game.
I mean, you got everything with these characters, and you got all the characters that were supposed to be in the game.
Exactly. And
up until this new generation of console, this new console generation, where it's decided, let's just not give you everything. And, you know, when Rare did it or when Microsoft did it with Killer Instinct, I was just like, you know, what is how are people okay with that? You know, it's not like you got new characters. You got refurbished, you know, redesigned characters that already exist in the Killer Instinct universe.
Okay, here it is. There were 18 characters in the first. There were 9 playable characters and 9 bosses. Then there were 25 in Tekken 2. This is already proving the point that I'm making. Tekken 3, you had 24 characters. But I think they might not be counting some of the
June died, so that's why she wasn't in there.
Yeah. Then Tekken 4, that can't be right. That's Tekken Tag. Yeah, Tekken Tag Tournament, you had 39 characters. Then Tekken 4, it says you had 23 characters. Holy shit.
I thought Tekken 4 came before Tekken Tag. I could be wrong.
It came before Tekken Tag 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's why everyone was so pissed, because you went from 39 to 23 characters. It was like nothing in there. I want to know who these extra characters were, because I don't remember. A lot of these characters have to be palette swaps for Tekken 4. I don't remember all that. Anna, Armor King, Asuka, Hey Beck. Wait, that's 5. Why am I looking You had Brian Fury. You had Christie, Combat, Craig Marduk. That was his debut. You had Eddie Gordo, Heihachi, Huang
No, Craig's
Rong.
debut was in 4.
That's what we're talking about.
Oh, that's what you're looking at? Oh, right.
And then Jin. You had 2 different versions of Jin. Then you had Julia, Kazuya, King the Second, Kuma the Second, Lee, Lei, Ling.
And Violet. Wasn't Violet?
Yeah, Violet was Lee. So they're going to count him twice. That's probably why. That's what I was saying. Like some of those characters, like Nina, some of those characters, Panda, like Panda's a swap for, what's his name? For Kuma in this game. Paul, none of the Jacks, Steve Fox, Violet. Yeah, Violet's not a separate character, so I mean, I guess technically you could count him as one, but everyone knows he was Lee.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, 23 characters. Technically, it was a little bit less because 2 of those characters are palette swaps. But then we go to Tekken 5, and you have, I think that's 5, yeah. Tekken 5, and you have 36 characters. Then we move to Tekken 6, and you had 36. Oh, no, 43. My bad. 43. And then we go to Tekken Tag Tournament 2. And you have 61 characters. Like, you guys cannot argue with us on this point. You started out in Tekken 1 with 18, and all the way up to Tekken Tag 2, you had 60. Now some characters have died, and some characters have been like kind of finished their arc.
The tag games, everyone always comes back.
Exactly. But like the max we've had in the regular games was 30. Was that a regular game? Tekken? That's Tekken Tag. So the max we've had so far is 25 characters, right? In a non-tag game. Or no, maybe it's 36.
Tekken 6 had 43 characters.
Oh yeah, did I skip Tekken 6 already? Sorry, 43 is the most we've had in a non-tag game, right? So as long as it's around that, because the next game after the 43, which is Tekken 6, I want to say it's Tekken... Oh, no, that's Revolution. We're not even going to talk about that game. The next one is 40, and that's Tekken 7. You guys can't complain. That's a full roster. Fighting games are only as good as... You judge them on the strength of their roster and what the characters all bring to bear. So you can't say a game is weak, you know, because it has a shitload of characters.
And that 40 is only right now. I'm willing to bet with the fact that the only reason why they're even doing this DLC is so they can add more characters later.
Yep.
Because, I mean, there's no... I don't think Armor King's in the game. Wang's not in the game.
God, that's a lot of characters, man. That's a shitload of characters, man. Like, looking at the list of characters that are in all the Tekken games and then looking at what they already have, there's a shitload of characters. And then to look at characters that there's, you know, the question marks by to see who could possibly make it in, you still got a shitload of characters. I see how they could support the game based just on the characters until, what is it, 2019 or something like that?
Yeah, he said at least a full year.
So, yeah, they've always done enough to keep those fans invested in the game without any gimmicks to make you do it. You know, like I like time release characters because you'd forget a character was in the game, and while you're playing, all of a sudden a new character shows up. You're like, holy shit, you know, or a new boss. You fight a new boss, and you're like, oh damn, I forgot he was in the game. You know, I mean, I know some of you guys these days are so fucking technical that there's no magic to this shit. So you know who's in there to begin with. We do too, but I still enjoy it on that level. I also know most of you don't play the one-player game because it's all about showing off about who's better than whoever. I practice playing the regular game. I grew up playing these games in the arcade where we had no choice. You had to play against people, you know? When I want to practice, I play against the computer. The computer always does shit that no human being is going to do. So for me, it always feels like it can be more of a challenge. You know, and then you get, when you get to the point where you know what they're going to do, then you need to move to the next difficulty. And then if you surpass all the difficulties, then it's time to just play people. But they give you enough. You know, you get a complete game. You get stages. You get all these characters. You get a challenge.
And that's the one thing I don't like about that Season Pass DLC is because are including stages with that DLC. I don't know why. I mean, maybe it was Namco's decision.
It's all Namco.
I can't see it being Harada's decision.
Said that he wasn't. He said nothing that's going to be offered in DLC will be something that impacts the game.
Yeah.
He said everything like that drastically impacts the game. He said everything that's part of the main story of the game will be included in the pack when you buy the game. It'll be on the disc already.
So you know, any classic Tekken characters that show up later on, you're going to get for free.
So yeah, it's strange that people can argue against this.
And I don't understand why, like, when somebody does something good, nobody, like, because it's Tekken, nobody wants to say that they're actually making some of the right moves when it comes to this DLC
everyone wants
shit.
the bandwagon on Street Fighter.
Yeah, even when they're doing bad shit and everybody's calling them out on it. I mean, you have a lot of people who are calling them out on their bullshit.
I mean,
you have a lot of people who are defending it.
Capcom fucking forgot or chose not to put the arcade mode in Street Fighter
on its release.
In Street Fighter, and the game only had a handful of characters to begin with. And you didn't even put the fucking arcade mode, and you guys are like, "Oh, I'll forgive him for that."
The simplest
are you
mode,
fucking kidding
basic
me?
mode, standard mode in the game, and they didn't put it in there.
That's bullshit.
And people were okay with it.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
The online was barely working. They were hot fixing a lot of stuff, and people were okay with it. That's why, like, near the end of my video, I talk about how I feel like Capcom fans are rape victims.
New Capcom fans.
New Capcom fans are rape victims that somewhere down the line became okay with being screwed over.
Don't use rape.
I know it's harsh, but it's like when you point out to somebody like, "Hey, man,
it's like Stockholm syndrome.
That person did something bad to you," and they're like, "No," and they defend their abuser. Like, to me, that's what these guys all come off like.
I believe you. Yeah, it wasn't that many characters in the game. It was like, what, 16 fighters at launch? That's lame. We haven't had 16 characters at launch since the original Super Street Fighter. And I think that game...
No, that's even less than that because...
No, at launch.
No, Balrog wasn't on there at launch because when I installed the game, none of the boss characters were on there. It started downloading the new... the next update.
What?
And then more characters showed up later on, like after the update. Downloaded.
Yeah, I could have sworn like it was like 8 characters.
Yeah, it was small at the beginning.
Like yeah, it's bad. It's not.
Because Alex was not in there. Alex, Balrog.
Oh, you're right.
Ed's new. He just got released.
Yeah.
Ibuki, Juri.
Karen.
What was that? Colin?
Yeah.
Colin wasn't in there.
Karen wasn't either.
No, Karen was.
Not in the very beginning.
Yeah, she was. She was.
Because I remember when they released her little video talking about her being in the game. She was part of the first wave of characters.
Maybe it was after the update
that they gave on the first update. Nekali was in there from the beginning.
Yeah, he was in there from the beginning. Armika was in there. Rashid, Ryu.
Urian
wasn't. Vega was, and so was Zangief.
It's just weird that you guys are cool with this. Like, this is bad. Like, I mean, and this doesn't even have... What was the other guy's name? The cop? That stupid police officer dude?
I think maybe... Oh, no.
He's not
Which
on
one's
this
the
list.
chick?
Colin?
Is that Colin?
Colin is the chick. Ed is the new boxer who has way better moves than
Balrog. I know!
And then... what was the name of that boxer name? Paul or something like that? He had a generic-ass name.
Oh, you're talking about from Street Fighter 4?
Street Fighter 5. Remember there was like a generic-ass, like,
there was another
white
boxer?
guy. No, he was a cop.
Oh, yeah, that cop dude. Yeah, I don't know. I think, man, that better have been a joke. Like an April Fool's joke or something.
Yeah, I hope so, too. Yeah,
or maybe they scrapped him because a lot of people were
Peter, that was his name.
Yeah, a lot of people were, like, upset about that character. I mean, the debut trailer where he's beating on Balrog with all the stuff we have about cops and going on in the U.S. and Capcom. That's why I'm not ashamed to say I feel like Capcom hates black people because you don't. That's so fucking insensitive. Like what if somebody did a game and put Japanese people in tournament camps?
Yeah,
like. it'd be fucked up. So like, why in your right mind, when all this shit is making world news, not even national news, that shit is known across the world that cops are just out here bucking down black people, unarmed black folks, and then have the debut character beating on, like, I think the only male black character in the game.
Yeah, that's kind of true. Yeah, I don't know what it is about the new. It's like you guys, some of these cats want to relive our glory days with Capcom when they were good. Like, they're not, just because they cater to the pro gamer circuit doesn't make them good.
I know, you'll never have an Evo 37 event ever
you know
again.
what I mean? Like, never. You won't. You just
hell, even Daigo doesn't even do it anymore.
You know? I know, right?
You can't even do it anymore. You're never gonna have it.
Because the games are so drastically different now that it's just impossible to get to that level again. I don't know, man. I hate the argument. And it's funny how, like, all of this shit changes when it comes to Street Fighter. Like, when any other game offers you the kind of DLC that Street Fighter does, people bitch and then they complain and they call out the company and it's like, you fucked up, fix it, or else we won't buy the game. Then you move over to the fighting game community, quote unquote. And you go to Street Fighter, they're fucking Lord and Savior. And when you point out that Capcom did something wrong, everybody comes up with excuses. You know, like, that makes no sense. 10 characters at launch? No, that doesn't make sense. No arcade mode? Doesn't make sense. Individual story modes that have 3 matches a piece?
Yeah.
No.
That was like 3 to 5.
That makes
Some
no
of them
sense.
had only 3. Yeah, it was kind of lame.
Makes no fucking sense.
With bad artwork.
Did you guys forget? And I love Bengus. Bengus is like one of my heroes, and you could tell he was rushed. So he was like, fuck it. If that's what you want, this is what you're going to get. They probably underpaid him and gave him an unrealistic deadline, and he gave you what he gave you, and you guys are like, most of you are like, I love it. And then the rest of us are like, because we know he's capable of more.
And then you look at Tekken. Tekken has, you know, all their menus look really fucking good. Yep. All their art looks really good. You know, they're using CG, but even their endings, because
because you remember Tekken 4 and 5.
Oh yeah, they had artwork.
It was all hand drawn.
Yeah, and that shit looked better than the shit that was in Street
It was
Fighter
consistent.
5.
That was the thing. I mean, some were more detailed than others.
Yeah.
But and usually it was like the canon stories or endings and story portions. They spent more time and made those more vibrant and more detailed than the ones that were just superfluous because they were just, you know, it's just for the character in the, you know, if he were to win, you know, the Elseworlds version of the Tekken tournament. But yeah, man, it's just there's no way to excuse this stuff.
Or even how people got really angry when King of Fighters 13, the first version, came out, and everybody and their grandmother was upset that
even
the game
people
was
that didn't
unfinished.
play King of Fighters.
I know, we had something to say.
I'm like, you don't even play King of Fighters. Don't worry about it. By the end of about a release, things will be a little bit better, you know. And they ended up doing a whole nother game.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. I mean, granted, it's still bad on their part. Don't get me wrong. I'm not excusing them. It's bad. They shouldn't have released an unfinished game just to hurry up and cash in. But, like, you can't tell me that doesn't piss you off, that's what they did.
Or you can't forgive one and not the other when the behavior is similar.
Exactly.
Like there's a dude in the video who talked about how the new King of Fighters had DLC characters for $5 a piece and complained that there wasn't any alternative to obtain those characters other than pay for them. And I was like, but Street Fighter did the same thing with 4.
Yeah.
With a bunch of their characters. They offered you about that much money per character, and they were charging you for costumes and for stages.
Yep.
So how is that? How does pointing out one make the other one not as bad? Like, you know, the lesser two evils is still evil. So it's still bad. And I didn't even understand like why he would even bring it up, because
you know why.
It's not in defense.
Everybody's always grabbing at straws. Internet straw man arguments, you know?
Yeah, I just don't know. It's like, how do you defend bad behavior with other bad behavior?
It is what it is. I mean, just call a spade a spade. We're not saying one is good and one is bad. We're saying it's bad when anyone does it. Acknowledge it and do something to prevent it. Don't just sit there and let it happen and then bend over and be like, I'm opening up my butthole. Like, seriously? Like, if you like it's just like I say with people who review things poorly, especially movies. If you were entertained, that's fine. So you were entertained, keep to yourself and be entertained. Don't join the conversation. Don't try to join the conversation when we try to take it apart on a deeper level. Because some people watch films and, like, we pay attention to all the things that were given to us. Same thing with games. We pay attention to what we get for the money that we spent. If all games, like, how, in a world where you have a game like any Metal Gear game, good or bad, think about the amount of content that's in a Metal Gear game. It costs $60, right? Basic, standard edition. How can you get Street Fighter V? How can that sit on the shelf next to a full-on Metal Gear game? Two different genres, I get it. But you're not even getting close to the same amount of content. Say what you will about replay value because you guys can mindlessly fight each other with any number of characters in any game. That still doesn't count for the amount of content you get in the game on a base level. You know what I'm saying? Like, most of you never went back and played the World Tour mode in Street Fighter Alpha 3. So when you play these corny-ass story modes, you think this shit is good and it's cutting edge and the graphics, blah, 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 all the window dressing and shit. But the World Tour mode was fucking in-depth. It was long. It involved lots of characters. You leveled your character up. At the end of the game, your character was so different from what it was when you start the game, the base level character. You really felt like you did something. Now, you just have levels. You got numbers because you guys are so preoccupied with all these little details that they tell you make a big difference. I mean, I know the characters do more damage, and I know your blocks, you're more resistant. Your blocks, you know, as you level your character
like
up.
Chip damage or something?
Yeah, like to chip damage and stuff like that. But it's not like the World Tour mode. By the end of it, I didn't even have a block meter. Like that's how I powered up my character. I could do air combos, like, you know, 2 or 3 hits in the air and then continue on the ground. I could chain my supers if I wanted to. And it's not like they changed the motion of the supers. It's still difficult to do. I was playing as Guile most of the time. So you still had to do the weird flash kick motion, but you could chain it with the Sonic Hurricane. I had infinite, because I had no block meter, I had infinite alpha counter abilities. So I could just combo break whatever you threw at me if I wanted to. I mean, it was like a big difference. SNK versus Capcom 2, same deal. You could tailor make the isms so that your character could parry, they could run or backstep or whatever. Like, there was so much you were able to do. You could have an infinite combo ability if you could put together the string. You know, like, it was like all cancel was one of the things you get when you hit 99 as far as points and stuff go. You can't do all that shit in these new games because
the modes don't exist.
They don't exist, and they don't expect the fan base to actually, you guys don't want that. You don't ask for those things. You're content with whatever they give you without looking back on what you used to get so that you could properly gauge what you should be getting now.
Or constantly playing other scrubs online with laggy internet.
Oh, God. It's like everybody thinks that they're all going to be pro Street Fighter players. The thing is, you're not. It's not being a dick. It's being realistic. Yes, it's the dream. You have a better chance of being struck by lightning twice. It's just like people who, all the kids out there that want to be basketball stars. You can train and train and train. You'll be really good. But the chances of you being actually chosen and drafted, it's like, you know, you may as well stand outside and hope for the hand of God to slap you or something. Like, you're not gonna. It's just rare. It's like winning the lottery. It's fucking rare. So, like, sitting here acting like because they offer all this stuff and they tell you it's for the pro game circuit and they build you motherfuckers up. It's like what they did to Rainbow Six Siege. Rainbow Six is a Tom Clancy game because of the Tom Clancy style of storytelling. The game has no story. So then you should right there take the Rainbow Six name off. Rainbow Six, on a basic level, you had all these abilities that made sense given the situations that you were going into. How do you take those away and turn them into special moves? And then tell people, like, yeah, this is competitive and this is the way it works. Wasn't it more competitive when we all could pop smoke and then put our thermals on? Because that's what you would probably do, right? Why would you pop smoke and not look for the enemy in the smoke? Like, so you pop smoke so you can run away? Like, Okay, fine, but wouldn't it be smarter since you're coming into the field? You come into the hot zone knowing what the threat is. When you have smoke, wouldn't you want to be able to use it so you can level the playing field or, you know, gain an advantage? One guy can see through the smoke. Maybe two. I didn't check if IQ can see through smoke with her little thing. But it's just dumb, you know? Making a sniper rifle a special move. It's a special ability for a guy. Like, why? In Vegas 2, we all could be snipers if we wanted to. It was one of the many guns you could just, once you earn the gun, you could just carry it, right?
Yeah.
Yet people are like, this is awesome, pro gamer. Oh my God, I'm the best ever. Oh my God. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, they're selling you less, but they're giving it to you under the auspice that you're getting more. Like, oh no, this is what this is what the real shit looks like, motherfucker. Yeah, you're real. You're a fucking, like, you're a badass now, motherfucker. You got the real shit. You paid $130 for $20 worth of game. Like, come the fuck on. It doesn't even make sense. And I got gypped because I'm a Rainbow Six fan. And I played that shit and I was like, wow, I can't even set up my own game. Like, if I want to play Terrorist Hunt, Lone Wolf, against 35 enemies, I can't even set that up for practice because they don't give you the option. It tells you, depending on the stage, how many people you're going to fight, and I got to wait for randoms to join my game. Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, you can pick Lone Wolf, and the computer still will pick the stage for you and pick the situation and all that stuff. Why the fuck do I want to do that?
Did they, like, test this with audiences?
They tested it with fans, and the fans were like, I'm fine. Because the fans weren't the long-time Rainbow Six players. And this is the same issue that we're getting with Street Fighter.
Because, I mean, I could understand putting in the UI, putting in a bunch of options for how you want to customize your match, and then putting in an option for just a quick match where the game takes care of all that for you.
I agree.
And the fact that they didn't do that...
I paid $160 total. Probably a little bit more because I paid $50 for my my PlayStation Plus. That's the only reason why I got PlayStation Plus. So I paid $60 for the game, I paid a lot more than $50 for the game, $60 for the PlayStation Plus, and then $40 for the fucking season pass. So are you fucking kidding me? You know what I mean? I paid more than enough to point out that, you know, I didn't get my money's worth. I don't give two shits about a piss about the fucking pro game circuit because I play the game for fun. I have a job. I don't need that shit. I don't want any of that shit. I want to play the game. I paid for it. I paid for every aspect of it. And then I earned everything else. I earned most of the characters before I even bought the season pass.
They shouldn't be gearing games towards esports anyway.
Just sell separate editions. Sell the esports edition. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It would have different rules, different UI, different everything for those folks who want that shit. Don't try to pigeonhole me and tell me, pay this amount of money and keep paying to get all this shit that only those motherfuckers give a damn about. Nah, you just hijacked my game and turned it into something where everything's hidden behind a paywall. Like, I don't want that. I want to play the games. I'm old school. When I get a game, I put the game in. I admire the intro. No intro. I admire, the character designs and shit, and then I play the fucking game, and I play it until I'm done. I don't want to play it anymore.
There's no intro for Siege?
Nope.
Damn.
Nope.
Damn.
There's just some weird, atmospheric music and a big lineup of characters, and it tells you what the next big weekly, monthly, whatever event is going to be at the screen, top of the screen.
Damn.
Literally, you turn the game on, and they're trying to sell you on something already. Like, what the fuck happened? And so many people are so pro this. You know what I mean? Like, come on. People deserve better. If you're a gamer, you pick a genre you like, you pick a game you like, a series you like, and you follow that series as long as the quality continues. When you get, like, Ghost Recon, Wildlands is not Ghost Recon. That's not what Ghost Recon is. That's Grand Theft Auto masquerading as Ghost Recon.
And complete with glitches.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck? And then everybody's like, oh my God, the shit's awesome because they told you it's the next step. It's awesome. You should get it. Like, get the fuck out of here. But yeah, that's my point. I rambled. I'll let you jump in and say your piece because I always get on these tirades.
Well, I mean, it's sad that the state of games has come to this because of how complacent the fan base is with, you know, it's like the game industry now is like Trump, where, you know how Trump said he could do whatever he wanted and people would just be okay with it,
and then he did it.
And he did it, and then people are okay with it. Like, you guys are Trump supporters.
No, don't turn it into that.
No, I'm saying in the sense that they allow the game industry to do whatever, and they just suck it up and take it, and they shell out their money for it. You know, it's like you were saying earlier, how a lot of games this console generation just aren't really worth getting, and I feel like the same way. There's only a handful of games that I'm looking to pick up at some point, you know, during this console gen, and it's only stuff that's come out kind of recently.
Yep.
Like, I definitely want to get Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah, I do too, at some point.
I do want to check out that new Marvel Omega. It's basically Ultimate Alliance, but it was the PC version.
Huh. With both games, 1 and 2.
Well, no, that's by itself. This was the PC Marvel game that they did. But now they ported it onto the PS4 and the Xbox.
I didn't know about that.
So I was like, damn, I kind of want to pick that up because it feels like Ultimate Alliance.
I did not know about that.
But like a newer updated version.
I did not know about that.
And I only watched like 1 or 2 videos on it, and what I saw looked promising.
Huh.
So and we've been looking for more games for all of us to play together. So that would definitely be one of them.
That. What's it called?
Marvel something Omega.
Huh. I'm going to have to look that up.
Marvel that's Heroes it. Omega. Marvel Heroes Omega. Like, I mean, that Tekken 7, the new Spider-Man game that what's that company's?
Venox?
No. Oh, hell no.
Why you say that? They're not that bad.
No, but it's the people that did. Oh my God, why is my brain drawing a blank? Because I'm tired. It's the company that did that zombie game where you're.
Oh God! Damn, these characters look kind of not that good. Oh God!
Well, you'll be able to change all the costumes and stuff. They're supposed to be.
Oh, the costume is fine. It's his face. What the hell?
Well, I mean, it's isometric top down.
Yeah, so you won't even see all that. Yeah. Oh God! Look at the Hulk. Oh God! Oh God! Oh God! That's terrible. Oh God! I mean, it would be cool to play with all these different characters, but man, those faces. I'm glad it's from that view so you won't see the horror that is this face. It looks like a Ken doll. Like, what the hell? Yeah, I'll check it out. But I agree, there really aren't that many games to play. Definitely not that many good ones.
I mean, we keep saying the same messages over and over again. You know, stop pre-ordering games. Wait and see how the games turn out. Stop paying all this, money that you don't need to pay for them to piecemeal the games out to you. Like, just start demanding better from these companies. But, it's going to fall on deaf ears because, you either have the gaming community or the people that game now are little kids who don't even know the value of $1, so they're spending their parents' money, so they don't give a damn. And the adults that I guess either have disposable incomes or just don't give a shit.
Yeah, they don't. Most people don't.
I got bills and I got loans and I got other hobbies like game. Like I want a game.
School loans.
Yeah.
It's not like you're a gambler. Or
no. Yeah, I don't owe the Russian mob or anything.
I got loans.
Yeah. They're gonna come and break my legs. I gotta pay this shit.
I'm itching, man.
I know.
I gotta get my fix. Yeah. Yeah. It's weird. It's weird. I guess like when you've been gaming for as long as we have, you start to expect more. If you're younger and you grew up and this is all you know, you don't have any idea. You don't have as much of an idea. I shouldn't say any. You don't have as much of an idea of what it is that's being done to you. Because, I mean, if you just sit back and look at this shit, you can see what's being done. You know, you can see unfinished games are at like an all-time high. It's ridiculous. Oh, we'll just patch it later. No, the fuck you won't. Most companies don't really patch their shit. Maybe PC games they do, but not on console. I mean, think about it. And we get update after update after update after update. I mean, we've all done it where you turn on your system after you haven't played for a week or two, and then you got to sit through like an hour of updates.
Yeah, like, no, 20, 30 gig updates.
Yeah, like, get the fuck out of here. Why do I need to deal with all this shit? Why can't I just play? It's so much going on that you cannot just fucking play your games.
I would forgive those crazy updates if the content that was being added was substantial to, you know, justify the amount of gigs that you're downloading. Like, the only game I can think of off the top of my head that actually had really good, you know, DLC was the last Witcher game. Yeah. Everybody I've talked to have said, like, it feels like you're getting a whole other game.
I'm not a fan of those games.
I mean, I'm not either. I kind of want to play it, but I kind of don't.
But yeah, I know if you're into that, I don't want to be sucked
into it.
Like, that's like the Renfest crowd's wet dream, you know? Like, I'm just not that guy. I like fantasy stuff, but I'm not really like, I don't know. I'm kind of against sandbox games these days. I've played so many, and I'm so used to them taking all my time that I'm just like, yeah, I'm good.
And having a lot of the same kinds of missions or side missions that are just there to kind of eat up time and pad out the overall playtime. And there very few of them are actually kind of innovative or fun, or they feel fresh. Like, that's the one thing I'll hand to Watch Dogs 2 is some of their side missions actually felt very, very different, and a few of them were like stuff I'd never really done before, like, you know, figuring out certain puzzles to get to inaccessible areas that would be inaccessible, you know, physically, but, you know, using your tools and using your drone and your little RC car, you could kind of get to those areas with those, and each one was like a different puzzle, so it always felt fresh every time you tried to tackle a new problem.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that is like more, that kind of thing is like what I want to see done with games more often. Like, I do want to play that, what is it, the sequel to Shadow of Colossus.
What game? Oh, Last Guardian?
Yeah, Last Guardian. Yeah, I do want to check that out.
I have that, and I still haven't played it. I haven't even taken the plastic off of that shit.
Yeah, man, play that shit. Let me know.
Yeah, I just, like I said, I'm not very, like, I'm still playing Uncharted 4, and I love the Uncharted series, but life has been so busy. I'm just kind of like, I want to get in, play a couple hours, and get out.
Yeah, and that's the other reason why I like that Abzu game, is because you can pretty much do that.
Yeah.
Even though it's not a game I would pay full price for.
Yeah.
For whatever the original price was, but it's definitely a game I would have picked up like on deep discount, or, you know, since it's free this month on the PSN. You know, I think that's I like when they make game choices like that.
Yeah.
For the free game of the month.
I'll try it. I might try it. I mean, I'm turned off. That's the other thing. PS Plus, you pay and it's yours while you're a PS Plus subscriber. It's not yours because you've downloaded it and you've already paid your whatever. I think that's lame. That's like, it's like extortional. Like, I don't like that sort of shit. But people are okay with that. There's all kinds of excuses people have come up with for why they're cool with having, you know, the digital library be like the predominant thing, and the way that it's being handled. I don't agree with it.
Some of the discounts aren't too bad.
Yeah.
Because of, well, being a Plus member. I mean, it does suck that we're paying, especially after coming off of PS3 and not having to pay for online.
Yep.
But the online experience is better. It just sucks we have to pay for it now.
I don't think it's that much better.
Well, like chat, if you do chat, man, it's a lot better.
That's probably better, but in game, it's not. I still have people getting kicked out of games. I still have people.
Really?
Yeah, we were playing Siege, and like random people would just fall out of the game in mid game.
In the chat room or whatever. Or?
No, we weren't in the chat room. We were just playing the game.
I'm talking about like you set up your own chat, and then everybody joins that chat, not in the game, but just
no.
By
I'm talking
itself.
about in the game.
Oh, okay.
Like playing co-op online and having the same issues you had with PS3. I'm thinking like, what's a new system? Or we'll play. Remember when we play Earth Defense Force and it just kicks us out?
Yeah. But that's on PS3 though, and I think that's something with that game. Because we switched to Vegas too, and we had no problems.
You're right. So yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like 100% everything's better. Maybe it is. I don't know. There's a lot of things that need to change, and they're only going to change when the fan base decides to, demand that it change. You know? If you don't demand that it change because you don't see a problem, then you're just going to be stuck with these problems, and I don't know what to tell you after that because, they wouldn't know anything's wrong. And that's the other thing is you can't be afraid. I say this all the time, but you can't be afraid to tell the developers and these companies that they're screwing up. People seem to be very afraid to say that, something doesn't work.
Or being afraid of standing out from the crowd by speaking out.
Yeah, like on a popular thing. Because there's people who will diss the hell out of a game that's not popular. But, you saw it happen with Call of Duty. You spoke out, and then they gave you the Call of Duty you asked for. I think they were always planning on doing it anyway. It just happened to coincide with people complaining like a motherfucker about...
Yeah, and that in of itself feels like a step backwards. Yeah, but if that's what the fans wanted...
I could care less about
Call of Duty. I'm not invested in Call of Duty. It just seems,
I didn't have a problem with...
They cry for new shit, and then they get new shit, and then they cry for the old shit again. Yeah. And then they go back and give you the old shit.
You love it.
Yeah.
You love that shit. All of you love it. I don't love that shit. Yeah, I can't take it. I'm not a fan of all that. I want new shit. I didn't have a problem with the change. The thing I did have a problem with Call of Duty was the fact that they were just ripping off the Tom Clancy franchises and then trying to make it more actiony and less brainy. Tom Clancy games have more strategy and shit involved. It's not run and gun. Call of Duty is clearly run and gun, and they just took all those elements, and said, hey, let's throw it into our game and let's jump, because we make one every year, let's just jump the gun with everything, and it just was like, nah. How about you come up with your own little thing, stop just biting off of everything else. Because you saw companies like Volition do it with the Saints Row franchise when they started getting their own, personality.
Yeah.
Where they would have, essentially they were making commentary on the rest of the popular games that were out there. They did a good job doing it. It was still tongue-in-cheek. It still made sense. It was smart. It was self-aware. And it didn't feel like they were pandering at all. It felt like they were clearly saying, this is a thing.
Yeah.
This is definitely a thing. Let's do our version of it to make fun of what the thing is that everybody's trying to do.
And I don't get why some people just didn't get that. Or, there's that part of the fan base that wants the gangster aspect of it back. More hardcore.
You got Grand Theft Auto.
And just play that. And then there's other people that like it, and then there's other people that are Grand Theft Auto fans that for some reason feel they can't be Saints Row fans too, so they dog Saints Row.
Yeah, I talked about that.
Why not just play both?
Yeah.
It's just weird how the logic is. Mayhem, I know, me too. I'm hoping that shit is co-op.
Yeah, me too. It looks like it will be. I hope so. If it's not, that's a huge, missed opportunity on their part.
Yeah, totally.
But, a lot of shit's got to change. That's why I'm not really that big into games these days. It's like they've taken all the things I love about games. Even E3 is going away. I'm good. Gaming isn't for us anymore. That's because, nothing has the...
Nothing has the impact it used to
have. Yeah, everything is so corporate to the point now where it's booty. It's bad when the people who the games are meant for start talking like marketing people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, they did this to drive up, CPMs for blah, blah, blah. Get the fuck out of here. That's not your job. Your job is to play and enjoy this shit. Your job is not to understand the marketing speak and the logic behind.
And what's the point of that if the game still
doesn't help you? Yeah, if you still coming out of the pocket 50 times on one game, it's not the arcade anymore. You already bought your system. That's your, 3 or 4 years worth of gameplay right there. All you need to pay for is the game, and that should be it. You shouldn't have to be paying that many more times. It's not the arcade, but you guys seem to be okay with it because they've told you this is what you're supposed to be okay with. I don't enjoy conformity, so I'm sorry. I'm gonna always have something to say. It's the way I'm wired. I don't know. Call me crazy, call me whatever.
Especially when the new thing that they want you to conform to is just subpar as fuck.
Exactly. They jumped the gun making this new generation, and they're jumping the gun again, making newer versions of the same system that they already jumped the gun with in the first place, So if you guys care that much, then hey, it's out there for you.
Yeah, I think gaming in general has just kind of hit this plateau, and it's started to just become stagnant. You can't. I can't think of anything in the last couple of years that I was just so blown away of that I felt like it changed the face of gaming.
Yeah, I agree. And then you think back to all those other periods, and I know some youngin's gonna try to school us and all this shit, but it's not gonna work. So you may as well don't bother. You think back to when Shenmue came out, and that was a big step forward. You think about when X-Men vs. Street Fighter dropped, and that was a big step forward. When Street Fighter 3 dropped, huge step forward in gameplay and animation.
Yeah.
You think about when Tekken hit Tekken 2 or 3, and you were like, damn, this is what 3D fighting games should look like. Or Soul Edge and stuff. When you got the fucking the home version with all the different modes and the fucking Edge Master mode and the original Soul Edge, and then the Quest mode in what was that? Soul Calibur. That shit was nice, man. It was you got so much in your home version of this arcade game. Now, you take the arcades in America out of the equation, and you really don't get much when you get a home version of a game, or when you get that game created for the console, and you should be getting a lot, you should. Because how else are they keeping you on board? We just keep shelling out money. And I'm just tired of shelling out money and not getting
anything
what
really
I'm supposed
to show for it.
Yeah.
Or you get something that only has a finite shelf life as far as how long you're gonna play it. So many things nowadays don't really have that replayability that keeps you coming back to play that game over and over again. I'm on my third playthrough of Saints Row 4.
Jeez.
And that's only because I started it on PS3. Then I got a PS4. Yeah, and I had 2 characters on PS3. Oh. So I was playing both of them back to back.
Yeah.
Because I had, different voices for each character. So I wanted to see what the differences were in the dialogue. And then when I bought it again for my nephew on PS4 and we were playing through it ourselves. But it's still fun each time. I still enjoy it, even though some of the side quest unlock shit is a little
tedious.
Some of the side games. It's a little frustrating and tedious. And some of the stuff I did on the PS3 version, I'm looking back and I'm like, how did I do this shit? Because I can't do it now on the PS4, and it's the exact same game.
Yeah. You've hit the plateau.
Yeah, I know. My skills are starting to wane.
Or you just it's not refreshing enough anymore because you've played it so much that it's just you want to do something else. I agree. It's just we're not getting. I know we are repeating ourselves, but it's the truth. We want more. God, it's just fucking weird. It's fucking weird. It's weird that we have to say this stuff, because you think more people. There are a few channels on YouTube that point these kind of things out, and I'm glad they exist because it helps reinforce something that people need to hear more, because you need to get what you paid for. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You should not be paying more and getting less. That's just not how consumerism is supposed to work. And if you're cool with that, something's wrong. You know, something's really wrong. And you should probably keep that opinion to yourself. You know, because it just doesn't make sense. And no amount of justification on your part is going to help, you know, explain that or make that make sense. You pay this money for a product that the company makes to earn your money. Only when they give you the complete product should you be content with what they give you. You shouldn't be content with anything less.
Or just compare whatever they're doing with how they market the game to you to other things in your life. You know, if you buy a book, you know, you want the whole book. You don't want the pages or certain chapters or the end of the book missing.
Yeah.
You know, so if they're selling it to you like that and it doesn't work, then why would you expect that to work for games? I mean, we've said that before too.
Yeah.
But it just, I fail to see how people miss this kind of simple logic when it comes to video games. It's like thought process and any kind of just intelligent thought just goes out the window. And it's just like, I just want, logic. just give me, and I'll give you, and that's it.
Yeah. Just take my money.
Yeah.
That's it. It's frustrating. It shouldn't be like that. But whatever. If that's what you want, that's what you want. You know, we can't really... I don't think we can change your mind, but, you know, you could actually think about that shit. You know, think about it first before you sit there and, you know, shell out that money. But, I mean, I guess if you got it like that, why would you think?
Yeah, I guess you wouldn't care. You wouldn't care.
You wouldn't really care about that shit because you got it like that, you know? I'm just kind of... I'm past that whole point because I want fun. And if I'm not getting fun shit, then I'm just not interested. That's just the way it goes. I don't really have the time to sit and devote 40 hours straight to a game, let alone a game that's incomplete.
Yeah.
So if you guys do, then hey, more power to you. Enjoy your youth. Then you're going to get older, and then you're going to be like, fuck, this game's not finished. Like, would you buy a ride on a roller coaster that's incremental? You pay for, you pay $10 to go so and so many kilometers, and that's it.
Well, the roller coaster's not finished.
Yeah. They're working on it as you go down the roller coaster.
This is just no more track.
Yeah, like, that's the best analogy I can give you. Like, no, it's just like, or with a car. Would you buy a car with no engine? I mean, unless you were planning on building the engine, would you do that and pay full price for the car with no windows, no engine, no brakes, no nothing, and you paid full price? No. So why would you take that in your games? It doesn't make any sense, you know? Would you buy like a house with like no walls and pay full price for that incomplete house? Like, no, you wouldn't. So why take that shit? I don't understand. What is it showing us when you take that shit? It's bad enough when we complain about this stuff with action figures, where you guys will pay $40 for like a $5 action figure or something, you know? Or like you're okay with, you know, Marvel Legends incomplete, you know? I mean, they're doing better now, don't get me wrong. But when they were doing a shitty job, you guys were cool with that shit.
Or some of you cats just need to stop paying scalpers.
Yeah, that too.
I mean, I've sold stuff on eBay, and I will admit I've marked stuff up, but I never marked it up to where it was like astronomical. Like the last figures I sold were the Figure Arts Naruto, Naruto and Sasuke, and I got them for a decent price. I got them less than, you know, what the MSRP is, and I sold them for about $55.
Which is about what they usually go for.
Yeah. But what I paid for, I was able to make back what I spent and make a little bit extra.
Yep.
You know, not enough that like I'm caking off and you know I'm going to the strip club to make it rain.
I
but
know, right?
You know, just enough that, you know, I felt like, okay, I can feel like I can get, you know, I can put this towards something else I actually want.
Yeah. And that's how it should work.
You know, these guys, like the other day, we were talking about the DC Icons figures.
Yeah.
And you're talking about getting that Rebirth Wonder Woman. And I was looking online on eBay, and they were selling them for $40 and up. And I was like, the set itself cost like $89.
Yeah.
So
it was 60-something when it came out.
Yeah, that's half the fucking cost of the box set for one figure.
Yeah, it makes no sense. They did the same thing with the Thor that I just showed you.
Yeah, and people are buying that shit.
Yeah, you guys got to stop that shit. That's why, I guess this brings me to another topic, and I know this is a lot. But community. So the word community gets thrown around so much these days. And community, you should start saying people who like this stuff. And
or
stop
group.
saying, yeah, a group of people who enjoy this thing, and stop saying community. Communities give a shit about the people that make up the community. And more on the internet, even though they use that word, it's people who don't give a shit about anyone else. It's people who are in it for themselves and only themselves. You know, and maybe their immediate little circle of friends. But, like, we all get into this shit, and whatever we do affects the other people who like this shit too. So, like, if I agree to pay $60 for a $10, $20 figure, $15 figure, I'm not helping, you know? I'm making it worse for the rest of people. If I go online and I find a figure that costs, you know, it's in retail right now and it costs $20, but I pay the 60 or 70 for it because, you know, I want it right now. I'm kind of, you know, I'm not helping you, because the scalpers, the people selling that shit, will see that I'm willing to do this, and they'll be able to say one of them sold. Someone else will see that that guy sold one, and they'll want to buy from him too.
Yep.
Also, if I give him, you know, 5 stars, as most eBay people do, I'm not being honest about my, you know, my transaction. That price is ridiculous. There's no reason why you should be paying that price for something that's in stores now. I guarantee you we could go on eBay right now, and Star-Lords and Yondus and all of that shit would be going for ridiculous prices, and they're out right now because some folks just are too lazy to go, or whatever the case may be.
Or maybe it might be sold out in their
area. Yeah. And you're willing to pay 3-4 times the price because you just gotta have it. No, there's no reason why you should be paying the same amount for a Figuarts and a Marvel Legend. There's none. They're 2 different classes of figure. If you paid the same for a Marvel Legend that you pay for a Figuarts, you are being a fool. I'm sorry. It doesn't make sense. It's like paying Hot Toys prices for, you know, a Marvel Select. Why? Why? Why would you? They're 2 different classes of figures. Despite all of the individual feelings and shit, this is why I think Play Arts Kais are ripoffs. Nowadays, you got Play Arts Kais coming out in the hundreds.
Yeah.
Why? They got some ugly ass joints.
And up.
Some of the figures are just ugly designs. They're off model. They're really, like, not very well constructed. I mean, are you kidding me? Have you ever looked at the knees and elbows on those guys? Some of the worst I've ever seen on, you know, high-end figures, and they want to ask $100 of your hard-earned money. 100 plus. Some of them don't come with stands. They don't come with many extra accessories and shit. Now you're moving into Hot Toys territory with the price. You know, you could pay 130 or 40 bucks and get some of these Hot Toys figures, and they come with all kinds of stuff. And then you get that, and it doesn't come with anything except maybe 1 extra pair of hands and 1 accessory. Like, really? That doesn't make sense. So you're fucking it up. If you're part of a community, you should be thinking about how what you do impacts the rest of the community.
Yeah, you can't. This is gonna sound cheesy, but you can't have community without unity. and like we're all just kind of like a bunch of group of individuals, kind of like in an every man for themselves mentality. Like, I gotta get mine, and I'm gonna get it however I can.
Yeah.
And like Strident said, it's screwing it up for the rest of us.
It does.
I mean, I don't know how you justify paying what you pay for some of that stuff. And I know I've made purchases where I paid way more than I should have, usually because it's something that has been out of print or not sold in stores anymore for an awful long time.
Yeah, but that's different because, like, if it's really rare, because we got into this in my video about hijacked nostalgia. People tried to tell me that the reason why it's justified to pay $10,000 for a USS Flag that was only $100 when it came out, or $150 when it came out, what, 30 years ago? They're saying it's justified to pay $10,000 for that. This shit's not a car. $10,000 could buy you a really good used car.
A good down payment on a new one.
And it's a good down payment on a brand new one. $10,000 you could put towards your house. You could redo part of your house for $10,000. What the fuck does the fucking flag do or the Defiant do that $10,000 justifies that price? Nothing. It's a fucking glorified table. And you guys are willing to pay $10,000 and you justify it with shit like, you got to consider storage. What storage costs $10,000
for that much money?
Yeah, like what the fuck are you talking about? Or like, I did the calculation, right? It should be about $300 because the dollar hasn't really gone up that exponentially since the 80s. That something that was $100 back then should be $10,000 now or $1,000 now. And then when you look at the range on eBay, the range is not consistent. Some people sell it for $800. Some people sell it for, you know, $2,000. Some people sell it for $10,000. That's a huge difference. And you guys are like, oh, it's rare. If you go on eBay, you don't get the impression that it's rare. There's hundreds of people selling that shit.
Because they're all trying to get over.
Yeah, all of them. Because they watched fucking one of those American Collector or some bullshit on, you know, one of those cable channels, and they saw somebody sell something like that in box for a high price, and the guy paid it. That doesn't mean that's what it should go for. It means that guy had it like that, and he could pay that much for it. You know what I mean? Like, you got to understand the difference between what you could pay for something based on your want, your individual want, and what you should pay for it based on the worth of the thing. People were arguing with me about the price, saying, like, I don't get that storage and, you know, upkeep. I'm like, but if it's in the box and it's new and you just have a storage space that's cooled and everything, so dust and, you know, mold don't grow on your shit, how does $10,000 figure into your $100 space? It doesn't, you know? And to say that you didn't have it in storage since the 80s. You probably had it in your house at some point, and then one day you were like, you know what? I'm going to put all this shit I done kept since the 80s in a storage space. You definitely didn't pay $10,000 for your storage space. Not over, you know, a 5-year period, a 10-year period, or whatever. You didn't. That's a ripoff. So be real about this shit. You know what I mean? Like, I've rented storage spaces, and I had it for a number of years. It didn't even get close to the thousands. So, like, I'm not even going to buy that shit from people. But too many of you guys buy that because you've heard it from people who are probably convincing, I don't know, and you think that that's the way it should go, and that's not the way it should go. You should be able to do the research for yourself, look at the item, see what the price was, gauge if enough time has passed to warrant the price you're paying. Like, think about this logic. Is there any reason why a modern G.I. Joe figure should cost the same amount as a vintage one? Vintage is the key word in this sentence. There are modern Joes that just came out in the last 5 years that go for the same price as vintage Joes from 30 years ago. Are you fucking kidding me? And you guys want to argue about this shit. Where's the argument? Where's the logic? You want to say rarity? 5 years ago is not rare. 30 years ago, that's kind of rare. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot more that goes into picking up something that was available, readily available to the masses 30 years ago than 5. 5 years ago, it could still be floating around at a discount store. 30 years ago, that shit's long gone. It's a memory. You know, so if you come across it and it was rare back then I get it. You could charge 3 times the price. But there's no reason why modern and vintage shit should cost the same amount of fucking money. But I see that shit every day on eBay. It's ridiculous. And you guys justify it. You see it on Facebook with guys selling like the new Mighty Morphin Power Ranger figures that are in the store right now for $40.
What?
For $40. I'm like, are you kidding me? You could go right now to Toys R Us and you can find the majority of those figures.
You could buy it online from Walmart.
Well, that's the problem.
Toys R Us.
Walmart and eBay and Toys R Us and Target, sometimes when they post some stuff like that and they see that there's that big of a increase,
jack the price up.
They jack the prices up as well.
Damn.
Because they're like, we want a cake off too. It's fucked up.
Well, I guess there's always Amazon.
Yeah, I know. And sometimes Amazon is the worst too because they'll jack prices up with no rhyme or reason. So it's one of those things you guys have to like really take into account what it is you're getting for the price that you're paying, and you can't keep on using this community buzzword because that's all it is now. It doesn't matter. if you're a community, you should be helping other people realize, you know, they're not getting the best deal for their money. Tell other people who to buy from so that you can get the best deal for your money. Tell other people, every now and then I see this, where they report people who try to play folks online, you know? Like the dude who gypped me out of my low-light figure when I traded him. I traded my, he had a lot of Joes, modern Joes. And I was trying to get rid of my 30th anniversary Sky Striker. So I said I'll trade him the Sky Striker. It was like 11 figures, one of which was the Pursuit of Cobra low-light. This was before the 50th anniversary. This motherfucker sent me all these parts. All these broken figures, like separated figures, but no low-light. And then tried to tell me he didn't realize that that was part of the deal. I was like, what the fuck? Your post says that this is part of the deal. I showed it to him, and then I reported him on that thing. He never, ever made it right, though. After a while, I was like, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, it's too late for me to do anything. It's not like I can go to his house and get back my fucking...
Did you get your money back?
No, we traded.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I sent the Sky Striker and, you know, sent him the fucking ship, you know, the tracking number.
Yeah.
And then when he saw that it was in his town, he sent his stuff and sent me the tracking number. I got my box and I opened it up and I'm like, what the fuck? None of this shit is what you posted on Facebook. And he's like, made all these dumb excuses and shit. I reported him because I don't want anybody else in the quote-unquote community to have to go through that shit. Because you shouldn't have to go through that shit. If only there was a way to make sure that he pays for what he did. You know what I'm saying? But that's what the community should be doing. We should be, like, finding ways to deal with him. Someone in that town could, I don't know, could hit him up and hound him, you know what I mean, to make sure he fixes what he did wrong so that nobody else deals with him. I bet you he's done that shit multiple times since because somebody probably forgot in the wonderful community that he was screwing people over, you know? And that's the way it goes, you know? A community, we're supposed to take care of our own. That's the way it works. We're not supposed to try to get over on each other, and all too often it's people getting over on each other, and it's just dumb. And it gets tiring to hear the word community. I'm sick of hearing that shit. People who review figures based on what the community says. Fuck what the community says. You got the figure in your hands. What do you feel about the figure? That's what a review is all about.
I never really knew people were doing it like that.
Yeah, you hear it. If you've ever watched a Marvel Legends review on the Foosh, people are saying blah, blah, blah. The community, or it's a buzzword on there. It's a huge buzzword.
I don't watch the review. I'll read some of their reviews, but I've never watched it. And
not to throw them under the bus. They're not the only ones that do it. You know, I'm done with, you know, the defamation of the Foosh, because I realize they're catering to their audience and they know who their audience is and they're doing their thing, whatever. I don't agree with what they say and I don't agree with all of what they do. I don't agree with the wishy-washy kind of approach to reviewing stuff, but you guys do. So, you know, do you. But, yeah, I've heard it on other reviews too, you know, especially in the G.I. Joe fan base. Like, people will say stuff. I've heard Forum BX257 mention what the community thinks of a figure. Don't worry about the community, dude. We look at you because you're very thoughtful about what you review. You do your research. You give us very common sense opinions or common sense, you know, logic-based conclusions on what you got in front of you. That's what we look to you for. We don't look to you to hear what the community thinks. Because the community obviously doesn't, most of the times, as a whole, they don't know what's going on. I mean, it's just the way it is, you know? People who will diss a whole year of action figures when it comes to G.I. Joe. This whole year was garbage. Nah. Nah. There's rarely anything that you can judge by the entire year and say it was all garbage. You can't. But that's the way the community looks at it. And I'm not subscribing to that. It doesn't make sense to me. But, yeah. Community as a buzzword needs to die. Unless you want to start really acting like a community. UNITY. Yeah. If you really want to act like a community, then I'm down. You know what I mean? Because that's what we try to do over on my channel. Everybody, you know, we talk to each other. We find out what you're looking for. And if we can find it, we find it. If we can't, we let you know we tried. And, you know, we go from there. We tell people about deals that we find. We talk about custom ideas and stuff, which is something I see on a lot of channels and a lot of pages on Facebook, which is cool. But But we generally don't screw each other over. You know, no matter what happens, we don't screw each other over. So I don't know why this can't be a thing in more communities. You know, we don't attack everybody because they don't agree with what we feel. That's the one thing I can't stand. I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah, that shit needs to stop.
Like, you don't agree with me? Okay, fine. But you don't have to attack me. Just don't agree with me.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with a differing of opinion, especially if that leads to you getting better products in the end.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody points out something that maybe you didn't realize,
yeah,
and then you're like, then that might change your mind. It's all right to change your mind. It's all right to be wrong. You know, we're definitely not always right all the time. So
yeah.
if you're like, you have to grow up a little and be able to accept that. And I mean, you'll be better for it. The community will be better for it. and you can take it to, you know, the companies that are making the products you like, and you guys can demand more and better stuff, and then you'll get those things, and we'll all be happy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's as simple as that.
Oh my God, it's true though. It's extremely true. But I don't know. This is all we always end up at this point when we start trying to rationalize internet mob mentality for whatever the thing might be. It's like the end result is it's mob mentality. That's why it happens, and it's probably why it's not going to change.
Yeah.
And it would be nice if it would change, because all it would take is for a big chunk of you to be instrumental in that change. If you change the way you do something, show it to more people, someone's going to bite off you. It's the internet. That's what they do, you know? Yeah. And if it's a positive thing and they're all copying that positive thing, there's no problems there. That's good, you know? So, I don't know. I'm just saying what my crazy ideas. That's all I can say. But any other business?
Do you want to talk about Slide?
No. Fuck that movie. I'm good. I gotta hit up Glenn and ask him what he thinks about it.
Oh, did you see it? Or
I'm pretty sure he already saw it, because he was all about it. And then, yeah, that's as far as I'm gonna go with it. Maybe we'll, if that becomes an interesting conversation, maybe we'll do it. But I was so disappointed in that movie that I don't even want to waste any more time. I don't want to devote any chunk of my time on my channel to talking about that movie, because no, I would have rather watched People Under the Stairs again. You know, because you watch.
God damn! How do you go from
The Adventures of Fool? I watched that shit.
All right, I see what you mean.
The two characters seem so similar, but yeah, nah.
I guess the only thing I have to say is, Figure Arts, you guys need to stop doing so many Tamashi Web exclusives.
Oh my God! Yeah, we could do a whole nother video.
Y'all gotta stop that shit. Cut that shit out.
Yeah, man.
Because your exclusives are lacking in what makes them exclusive.
Yeah.
And if you make all these things exclusive, then none of it is exclusive.
Exactly.
And none of it is special. Like, I don't know, like they're lacking in accessories. Some of them, especially with the American figures, are lacking in quality.
Man, they need to up the ante with the American figures altogether.
Yeah.
They're Marvel and they're Star Wars figures. Many of them are lackluster. You're not seeing the amount of engineering that you see in like Kamen Riders and shit. And I know that, like, as popular as Star Wars is, you know, it's in Japan, it's not as popular as like Super Sentai or Kamen Rider. But still, you can put the kind of love. I mean, maybe they don't get the budget for it. I don't know. But it's fucking Bandai.
I know you guys are making it really hard for me to talk good about you on my reviews when I get an exclusive and it's lackluster or really piss poor. Yeah. Because it hurt my heart when I had to do that Ultron review and basically rip it to shreds because it was a piece of shit figure. Yeah. You know, I mean, aside from the sculpt, but that was the only thing really great about it. Yeah. Everything else that makes a figure art just wasn't there.
But if you do it, if you take the toys from them, you must be ready for the disappointment as well.
Yeah. Yes, this is true.
It's one of those things, man. Like like I said before, I think they realized that the American audience. This goes back to what I was talking about before with you guys just falling for random shit just because. Oh, it's a character I love, so I got to give them all my money. They realize that's how you guys do. So they're like, we're just going to jump in and give you a very basic figure art, because on a basic level, it's better than what is out here in the U.S., but in comparison to what they normally do, it's supremely lacking, you know?
Yeah.
And nobody cares, because you guys are going to buy it anyway. You're going to turn around and bitch, but you're going to buy it and it's going to stand up on your shelf. You're going to give it a whole separate shelf because it doesn't look like your Black Series. Like, you guys get so ridiculously OCD about this shit that is funny. Oh, I can't put him next to these guys because he's not exactly the same scale. Oh my God, he's just so much smaller, just a little bit smaller, or the paint looks a little bit different. I don't want to do that.
Or why are you guys buying the same characters from different toy lines? Why don't you just pick the best representation from the toy line and just go with that one?
Exactly.
That makes no sense to me. Like, you buy the Black Series Luke Skywalker, you buy the Mafex or whatever Skywalker, you buy the figure art Skywalker. What are you going to do with all those Skywalkers? like, just pick one line and go with it.
I agree.
That makes, I guess if you got money like that, you know,
and some people
give you my address, you can send me a check. You know, I'll be happy to buy toys and do reviews for you.
Nobody wants to pay for their entertainment. That's unheard of. Who does that? Everybody's going to tell you they will, and then they won't.
That makes no sense to me. Like, and I bought multiples. I have multiple Spider-Mans. I'm trying to cut that down. Like, after this Homecoming, I think I'm going to be fully done with Spider-Man. I'm not buying another Spider-Man toy. You know, what else? What else have I bought multiples of? I have a couple Optimus Primes from different eras. At least with those, they're different figures. Yeah, they're completely different figures. But still, I don't like seeing too many of one character, you know, in my collection.
It takes a slot from something else you could have bought, you know.
Yeah, and Perfect Effect is doing it. They're putting out that Leo Convoy or Leonidas Origin, and I was like, oh man,
you can't have all of them. You don't need.
I don't have any of them.
What? It's a Prime.
No, I know, but I've always wanted a Leo Convoy.
Yeah, I have too. I remember when at KB when Robots in Disguise was out, when Leo Convoy showed up there, and I totally just was now I'm gonna get the Super Fire Convoy, and I completely just was like, I'll come back for it. Shit was gone. It was gone the next fucking day, man. I'm like, man, I should have got it because I almost picked that up because I dug Robots in Disguise, like a chunk of it. There was a chunk of those designs that worked. I mean, all the car doors hanging off and shit was kind of ugly, but there was a point where that shit was on point. Like Super Fire Convoy, like the Beast Wars stuff, the Optimus. What was his?
Optimus?
Not Optimal Optimus. God, my brain is the one we were just talking about. Leo Convoy was cool. The Megatron or Galvatron, whatever he was called when he was a dragon.
Yeah.
Sky Shark, I think that was his name. He was pretty dope. There was a lot of them that were cool because they were just weird as fuck. But like,
I was never that into Sky Shark.
Me
but
neither.
The redo of that figure was actually pretty decent.
Yeah, it was well done. Really well done. Yeah, I'm not saying I was into him, but like just from afar, I was able to like, I don't know, I could appreciate some of those designs. Yeah, there's a lot. Like the Rail team, I wanted their box set because they all came together in a box set. I missed out on that shit. Oh yeah,
I forgot about that.
They even re-released Devastator, I remember back then, which I'm kind of glad now in hindsight that I didn't get it because that's an ugly ass figure. Yeah. It was the original G1.
Yeah.
And then they did a new school version too, and that was also kind of weird looking, but yeah.
So was the movie one.
Yeah.
With its nuts. Nuts hanging out. Just
the
nuts.
Leave the nuts hanging out. Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't have a mushroom tip.
I know.
Oh, man. But yeah, man, I don't know. I can't I shouldn't say I can't, but I've stopped buying the same figure over and over and over. Like Batman, I have a bunch of Batman figures. The cool thing, if you go look in my collection, I think maybe 2 or 3 of them are really the same figure with different levels of articulation, but all of them are different. You know, either it's Neil Adams era or Jim Aparo era or fucking Michael Keaton or Christian Bale or something like that. It's some difference aesthetically from each of them, so this is comics. These are all comic related. These are all movie related, and that's it. And these are video game related. I have quite a few video game related ones, which is crazy now that I think about it. Mostly Arkham stuff, but after a while, I was like, I don't need it anymore. Like when I think the last Batman I got was the last one I will get will be the BVS. What is it called? The Mafex one. Because at some point I'm going to get it. Because I'm not convinced that people were altogether truthful about that shit. I think they were manhandling their fucking figures.
What, is it got QC issues?
Yeah, they said they were brittle and that, Superman's leg fell off and blah,
yeah, man,
blah.
The way some of you guys handle action figures in your videos, I'm just like, God dang, is that shit gonna break?
You do a 360 with every joint.
Yeah, I'm too afraid to do some of that stuff.
Yeah, you get mad that it breaks. Like, you have no reason to make any human being that's not a robot twist their arm or head or anything around 360 degrees.
Or like I was watching a video where this guy was pulling the figure apart, like to show like how the joints work and everything, and I'm like,
fucking stupid.
And I'm like, I know it's a figure arts, but they're always use different construction depending on what they want it to do and what maybe what team is working on it. I don't know how they decide, but some stuff it looks like it should come apart, but it looks like you shouldn't pull it apart. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why you would do it because all you're doing is weakening the joints. I don't know, man. But then again, these guys are the ones that are putting out reviews like every other day because all they're doing is spending money on action figures. I guess maybe if I had the money like that, maybe I wouldn't do that. I mean, I wouldn't be pulling it apart,
you wouldn't be doing that. I'm serious because there's a difference between folks who appreciate the figures on more than just saying that they have it. Yeah. That's one level. We appreciate them on
well, I'd be buying more of the stuff I like.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of just buying whatever
everything
to
that's
review
new,
it.
Yeah. There was a point in time where I didn't get figures like this. You know what I mean? Like growing up, my parents were like, you get one on your birthday, you get one on Christmas, and you get one as a surprise at some point if your grades are good. That's it. That's like 3 or 4 times a year that I could be like, Dad, can I get this G.I. Joe or whatever? That's why growing up I didn't have that many G.I. Joes. So as I got older and I was able to get more, I appreciate the fuck out of them because now I'm buying them with my money and I'm buying shit that I actually really like. And I feel like playing with it. Like I said, if you got a whole collection of figures and you never play with them, you walk by and you're just like, Meh. And then you just walk by, then you failed. Because that figure, you shouldn't have bought that figure. You should walk by your collection and look at those figures and either memories come flushing back and you want to pick that thing up and play around with it, or it just looks so good you got to pick it up and pose it or something. Yeah. If you don't do that, you don't really enjoy collecting action figures. You're addicted to buying new shit. And there's a difference. And that's what 95% of the reviewers on YouTube are. They're addicted to buying new shit, and they don't even care about playing or posing. How do you buy a Spider-Man in this day and age who can't squat?
Yeah.
And then be like, it's a great figure. Are you fucking kidding me?
Even though the ones before it, from that same line, were able to do everything that all the poses that Spider-Man is usually known to get into.
How do you buy a Bayflex Spider-Man or the previous Revoltech, which a lot of people don't even pay attention to the fact that there's been several previous, at least three previous Revoltech Spider-Man. How do you get those figures and you don't review them in the way that you're reviewing this new one that everyone's bandwagoning on? They're all capable of the same shit because it's Revoltech, you know what I mean? But you didn't know that until the Marvel Legends community figured out that, oh wait, they're making Spider-Man. That looks like a comic book Spider-Man. Let me get that, when this is probably the second comic book style. Actually, I did movie style ones beforehand. So, it's frustrating. It's like you guys, you gotta figure out shit for yourself. enjoy the figures you buy. Don't just buy them to buy them, you know? I had this conversation with ODC, that's me. I was like, dude, you just keep buying shit up. Sit down and open some of the shit you bought. Like, play with it, enjoy it, see if it's worth, you know, your time, if it meets your expectation, and then move on to new shit. I can't drop, you know, a shitload of money on figures and not actually play with them. Like, what the fuck? What was the point? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just coming from a different school of thought. I don't know. You got to enjoy your figures. Otherwise, there's no point to it. You can't, in mint in box collectors, you guys just have a problem. Because you can't invest in action figures and expect to get like some crazy return on your investment. It's just not, that's not how it works. If you don't open those figures, you just like buying shit in boxes. That's it.
Yeah, the only way it works is if it was rare to begin with.
Exactly.
Like a limited number of release.
Exactly. But, and even those, you can still enjoy those.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to, there's nothing to prevent you from enjoying the figure on some kind of level, even if it's aesthetic. But in the box, you cannot enjoy it. You enjoy the idea.
I mean, I admit I have a few of the Max Factory Guyver figures.
The old ones?
The old ones.
Yeah, but those you can't even play with them, really.
Yeah, and I got them with the intent to leave them in the box.
Are you going to sell them someday?
No. That's just for... It's just...
You better put them out in your living room. For real, man.
It's just, I collected them because I've always liked that. I've always liked those designs, and I've always liked that character. But, like, I looked at how much I paid for them back then, and even going, like, just browsing on eBay just to see, because like, I bought, like, the Guyver Unit 1, I bought, like, the variant one that comes with, like, an extra head and an extra hand, and it hasn't even gone up in, like, worth since I bought it that much. So, the whole, the whole gauge with which all this is, like, judged on, you know, your shit could be worth a lot one day and then maybe not worth shit the next.
All because of favoritism.
Yeah, or because of the demand. Like maybe it's not in that big a demand.
My my Predator clan leader, I think that's what he was called. The one with the cool tendril things.
Yeah.
$70. That's what he goes for now. I paid $17 for him. He goes for $70 right now. Or more. Or because I have two, Chopper goes for $50 to $60. 50, maybe 60, sometimes maybe more, because I've seen a couple that were more, but 50 and 60 on average. What the fuck? I paid $14 for him. What the fuck? Like, why? What is with these prices? And the figure came out, what, last year?
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to say the middle of last year? What the fuck? That makes no sense. The Max Factory figures he's talking about came out when we were in college.
Yeah.
And both of us graduated in the early 2000s. Like, are you fucking kidding me? This shit makes no sense. So, like I said, it doesn't make sense. If you're getting this shit, get it because you want to enjoy it. Actually enjoy it. Actively fucking enjoy it. Take it out of the box. Fucking spin that shit around and look at everything and just take in all of it. Enjoy it. You know, be fucking, you know, thankful for all that sculpt work that somebody sat there and fucking toiled and toiled and toiled to make. So that way you actually have an appreciation for this shit. It's kind of like when I was pointing out when I reviewed the Wonder Woman from Mafex, how people were nitpicking the shit out of that figure with stuff that I've never even heard them say about a Marvel Legend. And it's a Mafex figure. Overall, Mafex figures are pretty much figure arts that cost less. That's essentially what it is. The construction is so similar to figure arts, except they do, with their figures, they do all ball joint shit with their figures, and figure arts would have hinges and springs and things in certain places. Like, shoulder assemblies will have, like, butterfly joints and fucking pin discs and stuff like that, whereas Mafex will use all ball joints. And these motherfuckers were just hating. I mean, you ever want to see a salty bunch of motherfuckers review a figure, look at the reviews for that. And then some of my ninjas, they had previously been on the bandwagon, and after they saw my review, they went back and played with the figures, posed them more, and saw how natural the poses come, and how easy it is to pose the figure, and how easy it is to make it hold what it needs to hold, or to switch the hands, or whatever. And they're like, shit, I was completely off. like if you review your shit based on the community, we're going back to the community thing. You're not doing yourself a service. You buy figures for you. Reviews are supposed to only serve as a gauge. You're supposed to see the general stuff that the figure does. That's why I cut it up so simply. Paint, is the paint on point? Sculpt, is the sculpt on point? Articulation, is the articulation on point? Accessories, do they make sense for the figure that you got? Fun, do I have fun with it? Are there any issues or nitpicks? End of story, all the rest is up to you. It's simple. It's not like I like everything that everyone else likes, and it's not like most reviewers like everything that everyone else likes. So you got to be able to come up with your own shit. Like today, we're still getting new Street Fighter figures, and I'm still down with the Soda ones. The Soda ones are easy to play with. I might like the Figuarts Ryu and Chun-Li better because they look more like classic Ryu and Chun-Li, you know? But I still have to say, as a Street Fighter fan, I know the artistic detail. I could draw them for you. They aren't Street Fighter V accurate.
No.
And it's because the Street Fighter V designs aren't that great.
Yeah.
They're too roided up. The things are way out of... Like, just look at Chun-Li in the game. Her whole lower half looks like it could be a separate character. You know, like her torso is so tiny, and then her shoulders are huge. Then her hands are huge. Her head is super tiny. It's like it just doesn't work from a design perspective because that was not the Capcom aesthetic.
Yeah, I was looking at the Cammy figure the other day at the production photos, and that one I would say is closer to 5. Because if you think about how Cammy looked back in the day, she had a very svelte frame.
Yeah.
You know, it was tight and toned.
It wasn't super muscular.
Yeah, it wasn't like she was, you know, eating HGH and weights to get stacked.
Fucking mortar.
Yeah.
Drinking mortar through a straw.
Yeah, like she looks jacked and like she looks like they just enhanced her.
Yeah.
You know, to up the sex appeal, which that's a thing that we could talk about for days in video games.
Oh, I'm gonna get to it in my classes on Patreon. Oh, I'm getting to that shit. We're coming up on a new character design video, and I'm gonna use some figures as examples, but I'm gonna be going ham on Street Fighter V, 4 and 5. Oh, you wait.
Or even like, you know, games like Soul Calibur. Or like the other day, I was looking at some stuff for the Guilty Gear Zerd or whatever, Xrd, and I've always liked the bike. I've always liked biking.
Yeah, me too. She's my favorite.
Her
character.
hosses are
ridiculous.
I was like, I don't remember them being that big.
Yeah, fucking busting out.
Yeah, it's like Opie City.
No, Paizuri City.
Paizuri, yeah.
Fucking pure Paizuri
town.
It's Paizuri time.
And when she walks, it's like all in front of her. Like her breasts are getting to your opponent before their sword.
Yeah, which makes
because
no
they're just
sense.
so
They're
big.
too big.
And I'm like, it's too much of a good thing. I hate to say that when I talk about breasts, but
I know breasts are magical.
Yeah, but it's ridiculous now.
Have you been to Cleavage Town?
Yeah,
it's a
I
magical
go there.
Place. It's a magical place.
I vacation there often.
I know, right? Someday you will all understand.
Oh, it's time for holiday.
I'm telling you, man. Like it just from a design standpoint, sometimes they go overboard.
Yeah.
But like when I'm comparing like the Soda figures, like I have the NECA Street Fighter figures. I have a couple of them. I have the Soda Street Fighter figures. I don't really want to get the the Storm Collectibles ones because like they kind of suffer from the same thing that the NECA ones do. NECA was so on model.
Yeah, it was.
That the characters are so roided up that you're just like, that doesn't even look like Ryu. You know, they look like they're like. Here's a little detail.
Ryu looks like he's on roids.
Yeah, they all do. This is the thing, right? If you look at bodybuilders, the thing that always makes them look weird when they get to a certain point is that your head is not a muscle. So your head will not grow with your body when you jack yourself up. I mean, your jaw muscles might get a little bit more, you know, built up because you see it on female bodybuilders that do like a shitload of testosterone or HGH or some shit. You'll see it on them like their jawline gets more muscular because there's muscles that line your jaw. Their temples will kind of be more pronounced because there's muscles that line your temples, but the head itself stays the same size generally. So their bodies get enormous and their heads stay the exact same way, and it looks weird. This was present on like the early designs for Guile back in like Street Fighter 2 days and stuff. And even in the Alpha series, when Guile showed up in Alpha 3, that was the design. His body was buff, but his head was regular size. Because you understood, the dude roided up to, and actually, canonically, it's not even on point. Because he didn't roid up until after Charlie died. But in the game, that's what they gave you, you know? And it looked right. It didn't look too much into the realm of like, holy shit, that's fan service. Now, back in the day, Guile was the one who had that physique. The like super big, ridiculously buff physique. Because it was to appeal to Americans because our action heroes looked like that.
Yeah.
Now, everybody looks like that. It's as if they missed all the design cues. Say what you want. You can blaze me in the comments like you always try to do when we start talking design and shit. But if you pay attention, you know I'm fucking right. Cammy was not muscular to the point where she could stand next to Guile or fucking Ryu.
It looked like they're all competing for
weightlifting together or something.
Mr. and Mrs. Olympia.
Like her legs weren't even nearly the same size as Ryu and Ken's in them. You know, and Ryu and Ken were in the middle of the road when it came to size. Now they're on one of the extremes because they're huge. They never were like they couldn't stand next to Zangief and kind of take up some of that mass. They didn't hardly take up any of that space. Now they all take up that space. It's not a very clean-cut difference between the super muscular people and the small people, with the exception of like the real big people like Hugo, like T-Hawk, which hasn't been in shit since Alpha 3. So it's one of those things, man. I don't know how, or actually wasn't he in like Super Street Fighter 4 or Ultimate Street Fighter 4? Wasn't T-Hawk?
I think all of them came out in those.
So yeah, it's just, I don't know. You guys got to pay attention. Stop bandwagoning so much. Pay attention. Look at the shit for yourself. Figure out what works for you. Soda's figures work for me because I can play with them easily. I want to make, you know, if I grab Guile, I want him to do a kick, it's no problem. I want to make him punch, is no problem. And it looks good. His joints move the way people's joints move. I don't have a whole bunch of weird motion butterfly joints that get locked up and shit for moves that I don't need him to do. The Ryu for the NECA figures, all of them have the same joint scheme because all the males are the same base body for the most part. But Ryu can't do a Hadouken with his arms outstretched one above the other in front of him. Even with a butterfly joint. He should.
Yeah, his chest is just so wide.
He's just too damn big. Same thing with the Storm collectibles. They always take the picture from the side and put one low, one high, so it looks like he's got his hands, you know, in front of each other. That's not what the Hadouken looks like. But you guys are all like, oh my god, he's getting so much articulation. It's like, it's not the articulation that he should have to afford him the moves he needs to do. Grab any of your Figuarts and put them in the Ryu, the old school real fireball pose. And you'll see you can do it. You can do it with just about any Figuarts figure. Yeah. Grab your old Spider-Man figures from Toy Biz back in the day. And even the early Hasbro ones, like the Amazing Spider-Man 2, he can do you remember how in Web of Shadows, if you held it down, he would do the Hadouken and shoot a big-ass fireball or a web ball? You can do it with Spider-Man, but you can't do it with... I have all the Ryu figures, even the SNK versus Capcom figure. All the 6-inch Ryu figures that count, except for what's new that just came out. None of them can do it. It's frustrating. Even the Soda one, and I'm so loving that one, but he at least comes with the right hands, and when you fake it, it looks closer to what it's supposed to look like than all the rest of them. So, I don't know. It's one of those things. You got to find what works for you and stick with it.
Yeah, I mean, all that bulbous plastic isn't getting in the way of the articulation of the figure.
Even with the butterfly joint.
Yeah, and that's why it doesn't work. Like, I knew that Storm Collectibles Ryu wasn't going to... Just from when they were advertising the figure, I knew it wasn't going to get all those poses like a Figure Arts would.
Yeah.
And I knew I was just going to go with the Figure Arts one because it looks more like the one... It looks more like the version of Street Fighter I prefer, and I knew they were going to be able to get those poses because that's what they do. Yep. So... I don't know. I mean, if you like the designs, I guess, you know, that's your prerogative.
It's all about preference. You know, that plays a part. But it's like, you know, the point, the big point, is that they got to figure it out. Like, don't base your opinion solely off of all the masses, the community. Don't do that. You're gonna fail every time. It doesn't work for you all the time. You know what I mean? It's not gonna work. It can't, because we're all individuals. Whether or not you want to acknowledge that, I mean, that's up to you. But don't just base your opinion off the fucking community. It doesn't work. It's like shit like that is why we lost genres in video games, because the fucking developers tried to tell us which you know, genres of games we didn't like. Nobody plays beat 'em ups anymore. What? When did we stop playing beat 'em ups? They still make them. They've been making them since Streets of Rage 3. They still been making them. And they won't give us a Streets of Rage 4. Then we got like 5 versions of the fucking, or more versions of the remake. And they're amazing. And it was made by fans. And you're like, nobody wants to play that shit anymore. Like, what? No one wants another Golden Axe. When did we say this? They didn't port over the Revenge of Death Adder, and we would all have loved to play that shit. I got an emulated version, and it doesn't play very well. I don't like the stages kind of do some weird shit with the scrolling, but it's just like, you know, the community needs to I don't know, the individuals need to speak up. That's just the bottom line.
Well, I mean, if enough people were interested in doing a Streets of Rage remake, to the point where, you know, it obviously got received well by the community, or the gaming public in general, why wouldn't Sega be interested in doing a legit, you know, Streets of Rage game, even if it was to sell on like the PSN or Xbox Live? Like, even if it was one of those games, like maybe they don't want to invest of AAA money, but they want to invest just enough to make like a decent $40 game.
Yeah, you don't need AAA money for Streets of Rage. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it's the whole genre. You think about all the games they re-released on the PSN and the Xbox Live Arcade that are all beat 'em ups, and all of a sudden that genre is gone. Real platformers, gone. Fucking racing games, like combat racing and shit like that, gone. Racing games in general, you get 1 or 2. You get Forza, you get Gran Turismo, and there's that other one. I forgot what it's called. Whatever. There's one more for the Xbox that we get. Yeah. And that's it. That's it. What happened to all the others? You remember when that was like a viable fucking genre? Don't get them. Not anymore. So many of them got canceled. So many sequels to those.
Well, there was the new Need for Speed.
Yeah, that's true. They started dropping the ball with those. Yeah. What else? I don't know. It's all stuff that it's like, you know, as individuals, there's a bunch of us that like those things. We need to speak up and stop saying, you know, stop just being part of the faceless community, where it's like, oh, the community says this because a few people said something and they're popular and everybody conforms to what those folks say. Like, that's just not good enough, you know? You got to do your own thing at some point. Come together when it's necessary. Do your own thing when it's necessary too. It's too much conformity. God.
Yeah, I would be so down with a Streets of Rage game by Platinum Games.
Hell yeah.
Like,
Hell
that'd be practically an instant buy.
Yep.
And everybody knows Platinum Games has that rep for doing good beat 'em up games. So if you have to do the whole marketing spiel, you know, that would be one way to get people interested in wanting to purchase the game.
Yeah.
And then just keep people updated with, you know, how the game's coming along and, you know, demos or whatever. And I mean, I can't imagine it not selling.
Well, it'd sell. Because people would buy if Sega bought the Streets of Rage remake, we'd buy it just as is. Especially the latest version, which is the one I have. They would definitely buy it as is. Because it's a polished game. It's hard to believe Sega had nothing to do with that. You know what I mean? Like, it's polished. It's better than what Sega put out. Like, wholesale. The only thing lacking is that Yuzo Koshiro isn't doing the music. If he did the music, there it is. Icing on the cake, all done. But, I don't know. It's just weird. But anyway, I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta leave in a little bit anyway. I gotta run to the post office.
So, yeah, that's it for us. You guys have been great. Think about what we're saying. Get at us in the comments. You know how it works. Peace outside.
Peace.